Hi, welcome back to Finally Revealed. In this episode, I want to talk about confirmation bias. I've been talking in recent videos about an open mind, about cognitive dissonance, and I've got another video coming out on gaslighting, and in this video I want to talk about confirmation bias. This is a bias that everyone has on some level about some subject where you have an opinion or a position or a belief. And a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking, and those can be changed. But it's something that you have decided. And now when you go out, you want to reaffirm that and reinforce that. So you look for things that reinforce what you have already decided. It's your default setting so that you continue to believe what you want to believe for whatever reason. It is what you want to be true. It may arise out of wishful thinking, or just you're stubborn, or you want a particular issue to be nice and neat in the corner over here because you're busy, you don't have time to consider other options. It's easy for you to deal with what you've come to accept, and it gives you comfort. Your sense and need to be safe and in control allows you to disregard anything that doesn't match with what you already believe. A few examples are, I'll stop smoking next week, but for right now I need to get through this deadline and it's important for me to do that, and so I know that really smoking is not good for me, and I know people die of it, but I don't have any of those problems that those other people have. I'm not overweight and I get exercise, so I can still smoke, and those rules aren't going to apply to me. Or a more dangerous situation for all of us is I'm a little buzzed, but I'm still okay to drive. I'm not too drunk to drive. Or I can eat that box of cookies because they're low fat and I won't gain any weight, and that's perfectly okay. Or I had a neighbor one time who he was outside smoking and eating ice cream out of the carton, and he said, I've got a great thing, Michelle. I figured out that I can have ice cream if I have it so many days before I go in for the doctor test, then he won't know. And I said, well, you know, the doctor doesn't really care if you eat ice cream or not. They're just giving you objective information. You are the one who is going to live or die based upon how you care for yourself, not the doctor. So that was, he was searching out ways to ignore his situation and to keep going in the manner that he wanted to. Then he could say, the doctor could say, you're doing well, good job on your tests, even though he knew the truth that he was doing things that were detrimental to his long-term health. I think if you don't examine other information and stick too closely to your own beliefs, that it can really impair your ability to see anything objectively, in particular this subject, but it can bleed over into other areas. And now you're relying on assumptions that everything that doesn't match is instantly wrong. And we know about the assumption, if you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. So a better way would be to examine our beliefs in view of additional information. Let that additional information in and let it sit with you for a little bit. If it's something from social media, why are you reacting so strongly? That is a real indication that you need to pay attention to something. If you are a lot of times it's ego, that the ego is wrapped up in this idea, and when someone you perceive it as an attack on an idea, you're relating it as an attack on you. And that's why people will lash out. Maybe you just don't want to do the work to check what you've believed out. You've believed it for so long, or you believed this source for so long that you've given them a complete pass. But now you want to dissect everything else that's different and make them jump through hoops and go to high standards to convince you of something. No one needs to convince you of anything. What you believe is totally up to you. But if you are reacting immediately to any type of information that's different than, something that you have understood or believed, and your reaction is extra strong, why is that? That's something that you really need to look at. Where did those beliefs come from? Was it something that you arrived at by your own independent research, or is it something that was pounded into your head forever by somebody else and you don't even know where it came from? Maybe it's something in your family, something they've always done, and you've just done it without thinking, and now all of a sudden somebody shows you a different way and you have to face the fact that you really don't know why you were doing something, and maybe it was or wasn't the greatest thing ever, and now you're presented with an other option, and it causes you don't even want to consider it. So you just reject that out of hand and stay where you are. You have every right to do that, but it's healthy to be able to look at that information, and your belief should not be so threatened by other information that you can't entertain it, at least for your own development. There's a lot of censorship going on right now in the United States, and the fake news thing has been shown to be true more times than not. We have reporting errors that are caught by the different states on their death statistics. There are numbers being provided in different formats. I'm not going to associate or assign any blame or any purpose behind that, but that's for you to determine. Why would you be given information in different formats? What is the goal towards you? Is it to keep you in fear? Is it to keep you in line? What is the reason for it? And have you even thought about that? In my business as an attorney, for us to go in and present a case or an argument, we have to look at both sides. We have to. There's no way for us to go in and knowledgeably present a scenario with the facts that are at issue without understanding what the exact opposite side is going to be. And we have an obligation to know that and be prepared to discuss that. We have to. So this is something that for me, and what I've done for a very long time, is very natural. And it's only in recent times that I'm seeing different people in all different types of scenarios, personal, professional, different walks of life, reacting in certain ways that it really surprised me about them, if I know them personally, but also as groups, that they would just dig in on a position. They would just dig in. Sometimes you can figure out the reason, sometimes you can't. But anybody who's really digging in on something, that's a sign that there's some other issue behind it. The confirmation bias can be somebody wanting to be right, and so they wrap up that belief with themselves, and now it's an attack on them, which it's not an attack on them if they were sitting back and they were more conscious about what they were doing and a little bit more objective. So that's what confirmation bias is. If you catch yourself reacting to somebody's information, you say, that's crazy. They're not, I trust this place for my information, not this place. And, if somebody said that what you're saying is dodgy or shady, I didn't think you were a dodgy or shady person. I better look at that again. Really? It's possible that when somebody is blocked or assigned something or censored, there's a reason why. There's a reason why. Have you looked behind the curtain? Have you looked at it at all before you go to shut it down? You might have a confirmation bias in that area. If you learned something or this was helpful, give me a thumbs up. Share this with someone it might help. If you find you have multiple confirmation bias subjects and you're now, as with all of our discussion here in the videos, it's helping you to see that, I'll put the link below to my cognitive dissonance video on how you can now reconcile it and move through that. It's a sign of a healthy mind to be able to entertain different points of view, different scenarios, and consider them. You may end up right back where you were originally, and you might say, hey, I don't have a confirmation bias. Maybe I did, but now I'm more open, and I choose this, but now I know why. And I have looked at this other information, and I've looked at those other people talking, and I have reconciled that for myself. Or you may come in and say, I did have a confirmation bias. This over here makes more sense once I've opened my mind and really looked at it. And I need to be more open about these things. Maybe it's a wait and see, or maybe you change your tactics altogether. So subscribe to see the other videos. Come back and see me next time, and thanks for watching.